The Biden-Harris administration has really been focused on addressing several crises which have come to the forefront over the past year. We are facing one of the worst health crises in over 100 years. We're facing worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and the greatest threat to our democracy since the Civil War. And on top of that, we're looking at a climate crisis that is threatening this generation and future generations. And on top of that, a racial justice crisis that has been really circulating and bubbling through this country for centuries. And so as we think about our foreign policy in Africa, but in general, it's this recognition that addressing these challenges is really going to require partnerships and doing it in an alliance with other countries. We see Africa as a continent full of opportunity and as a critical partner on so many of these other issues. And so as we think about where we've been engaged over the first 100 days, it is on partnering with African countries to address some of these challenges.
What are some of the projects or activities that are being pursued at the moment?
Addressing this climate crisis is top of mind for this administration. And so you saw that with re-entering the Paris Climate Agreement and with the summit, the climate summit that the president just hosted April 22nd to the 23rd, which featured a number of African countries participating. We see climate as an area where the U.S. and Africa must cooperate because Africa will be greatly impacted by the effects of climate change. And so we see African countries as critical partners in addressing that challenge. We know that the demographics of the continent are such that it's young, vibrant, and future-oriented. And so when we think about coming out of this economic crisis and thinking about partnerships going into the future, we know that Africa and Africans have to be a part of that equation. And so really thinking about how we make a more robust economic partnerships and engaged private sector here in the United States, including the diaspora.
Mm-hmm. Now let's touch a little bit on COVID. What are some of the current U.S. engagement or future plans with Africa in terms of COVID relief?
The bottom line is that we cannot stop this pandemic without ending it everywhere. And that, of course, includes Africa. That is why the United States has been the largest contributor to COVAX, with a $2 billion commitment so far, pledge in addition to a $2 billion that has been contributed so far. In addition to that, we're supporting the Africa CDC because we don't want to just respond to this pandemic. We want to make sure that we're preventing future pandemics. And the United States has been a long-term partner on health in Africa. We are building this response to COVID on top of infrastructure that the United States has helped to build in Africa through partnership on PEPFAR, malaria, and responses to Ebola. And so we're pretty confident that as we build back better out of this pandemic, that Africa will also be in a better situation to respond to future pandemics.
Now, as a daughter of a Nigerian American, what would you like to see the U.S. work with Nigeria on politically, economically, or in the health sector?
Well, my parents immigrated to the United States as students from Nigeria in the 1970s. And that was an investment that the Nigerian government was able to pour into them at that time. One of the things that I'm really excited to see about the United States is that the President Biden, is thinking about making the same kinds of investments into American young people, including Black, brown kids that may not have had these investments in the past. And so as I think about how we partner and work with countries like Nigeria, I think it is by continuing to lead by example. We need to invest in our young people. We need to make sure that they are prepared for the future of work, which has arrived. And we also need to make sure that we are shoring up our democracy. Obviously, we have many challenges that we're facing here in the United States, as are countries like Nigeria. And I think that part of the future that we see and that I'm excited about is the opportunity to partner with countries like Nigeria on building a stronger, more democratic and prosperous future.